How do we manage menopause mindfully? That's the topic that we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. And today I have the joy of bringing you my good friend, Sally Friscea. And she is an author and she's passionate about helping women with their health and with managing menopause. And we are here to talk about her journey and her new book that she's got coming out very soon, if it isn't already out when you're listening to this. It is called The Hot Mess Express. So excited to introduce you to my friend Sally today. This is going to be lots of fun. Sally is just full of life and humor, and she's got a lot of information also to share with you. Welcome, Sally.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. There's a lot of doctors now talking about all of this. A lot of female doctors complaining that they went through how many years of med school and interning? 5 hours of women's health, and that was it. 5 hours. And I'll bet a lot of that was pregnancy, birthing. A lot of what's coming out now is just female doctors looking into this, doing their own trial and error. They're starting to do some studies on menopause, women aging, all of that, but most of it is done for men's health. And here, it might work for women. Great. Maybe not. We'll see.
Did you find that holistic physicians were more likely to address the topic directly of women's health, holistically, women's health, all of the things that go into feeling well as a female, especially when it comes to after our hormones are no longer the same as they were before menopause?
Yes. Osteopathic doctors rock. And you find them in the dark corners of the internet. They used to get canceled a lot on social media. They still get a lot of blowback from the traditional medicine world. My sister has a degree in forensics, and I think her hobby is just reading studies and doing other medical kinds of things, which I can't even imagine. It's a whole complete different world from me, even from doing this book. But she struggles with migraines, which is one of the things that actually, when you get through menopause, can actually lessen. If you struggle through migraines before menopause, they can lighten up after. Gary Brecka, who worked for the insurance companies, and he left there because he was sick of dealing with death. And he put stuff out there. He's working in life now, health, and trying to help people. But I mentioned him to my sister, and I said, he said that if you're waking up and in the first hours in the morning having a migraine, it's probably from dehydration. So drink some water, put some Celtic, I think it's a teaspoon of Celtic salt in an 8-ounce glass, and drink it, and it'll hydrate you and probably shouldn't have the migraines. So if yours are, early in the morning onset, try it. I almost feel like today I would take a DO. That's the one, right? Osteopathic DO, chiropractors and all those. I will take one of those over a traditional MD any day. Any day, just because I feel like there's, I don't know how much I should say. I feel like there's an unholy trinity between government, big pharma, and the medical world. I feel like big pharma, and I have heard other doctors say this, so I'm not just like grabbing at straws, but I think big pharma funds medical schools. I heard one doctor say he was never taught how to cure, only how to manage disease.
That's the traditional medicine model, surgery and treating disease, but holistic medicine is also preventative and whole health oriented. So that can include DO sometimes, but it can also be naturopaths and chiropractors and allied medical professionals, or supportive health. Functional medicine is another way of putting that as well. So do you have like a specific thing that you want to target as far as practical tips for a woman premenopausal or who's in the middle of menopause or past menopause? Is there something that you want to make sure that that woman hears before she leaves the podcast today?
Well, I think the main thing is if everybody could spread the word, and you'll get blowback on this one too. But if you can get a baseline, if you're happy where everything is, it's still the same as when you were 20. get a baseline test done on your hormones so you know what to aim for when things go sideways. And there are women who don't have symptoms or very much at all. And oh, yeah, I ran across one. Oh, yeah, I had trouble sleeping for a couple of months, but then I was fine. I'm like, oh, bless you. Good for you. You won the lottery. Yay. But for most people, you're going to go through it. And when you go to have your hormones tested, it will be on a scale, and they will say it is normal if it's between 10% and 90%. So only the most extreme low and the extreme high do they look at with any concern at all. But if your normal, we'll just say, is 78 and now you're at 23, well, you're way off. So you're having a lot of symptoms and you're miserable, but what do you shoot for? Where are you going back to? You don't even know. So it's just trial and error, trial and error. So you're doing tests and you're, adjusting your hormones to see if you can't get it there. But I'll tell you, I went to a specialty clinic and it was still hard. It was still so hard. And I left there after a year. I had friends who swore by it. But I had a good talk with the doctor there. And I felt better after discussing with her. I felt like she was actually hearing me. And that's one of the things too. If you're perimenopausal, everything's just starting to happen, go get tested. You're not crazy. These things, they're normal. Because it's normal, a lot of times traditional doctors will tell you, it's just what happens, go live your life. Or here's some antidepressants to make you feel better about it. That is so common. Don't settle for that. Keep looking for a doctor. Even if you have to pay cash out of pocket, it's worth it to find somebody who will hear you, somebody who knows what they're doing in this field.
So some of the main symptoms you said were trouble sleeping,
Yes.
hot flashes, cold flashes, temperature dysregulation. What about hair loss? Is that one that you address in your book as well?
Yes. Yeah. You know what? I addressed most of the things in the book are things that I went through, which were, I think, most on this list of 40 of the biggest things. Hair loss was a big one for me. Even in scripture, it says the hair is her crown, and for a woman to go bald is like a huge deal. Men just shave their head and go on with life and they look manlier. Women, it's not fair. It's just not. I have found great results, which is weird because I have not found great results with many things, but with the hair loss, just doing the Rogaine, but I do the Walmart's Equate version for $7 a month instead of, 40, 50, 60 a month. I just heard that they make them different for women than they do for men. And I thought that was because of hormones, the way we're made and all that, but it's not. They make a 2% for women and a 5% for men. You have to do the 2% twice a day, but the men only have to do theirs once a day. But I think when you get your hormones back where they should be, that should be a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, because basically any of these things have to do with the loss of hormones. So replacing those hormones, even if you're not having hot flashes, you may have other symptoms. We're at a different place than we were 40 years ago with the levels of hormones that are normal, because the phthalates, the plastics, and some of the other things that are hormone disruptors in our environment now were not there then. So menopause, for your book and for those who are experiencing this, is going to be something that is more of a felt need than ever. And women may be experiencing this younger than they used to. Is that something that you found?
It is. It's about 10 years younger on average now. I was looking through one of the social media Instagram ladies I follow and repost, and she asked, what age were you when you first started symptoms, and what was that symptom? And a lot of people with sleep and the hot flashes. And it just seemed like everybody's age was in the 40s. And I thought, I don't know. I just always thought it was somebody in their 50s or 60s. One lady in particular at a previous church was always walking around with a little Japanese fan that she was just whip that out and start fanning herself for a few minutes. And she's like, it's just a hot flash, folks. It's just a hot flash. But the whole time I knew her, she was fanning herself. But she was that much older than me. And I started in my early 40s with stuff. I mean, my hair started turning gray in my mid to late 30s. I started having to take care of that. But somebody else told me that's genetics. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks, mom and dad.
And redheads.
And redheads, yes.
Yeah.
And we are the worst at going gray. I'm telling you, I watched this movie when I was 8, 9, 10 or whatever. I just remember it was a Western, and there was this graying redhead woman. And I said something about, and they said, "Oh, well, that's what you're going to look like." And I thought, doom. Oh my gosh, that's my future. What is happening?
All of us can go platinum. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And instead of
Yeah.
looking at it with doom, you're looking at the subject with a little bit of humor and with practical tips so that
Yes.
this is hopeful. So, what's your favorite tip as we're getting ready to close out?
Food is huge. And some of your symptoms can be complicated further by food. Avoid alcohol, spicy foods, and caffeine. If you smoke, quit. Eat the outer aisles, the outer sections of the grocery store. Stay away from the inner, the processed foods. Stay away from that. And I think we have some people coming in this year, 2025, that may help us with that nationally on their crusade. It is just, I mean, absolutely killing us and just making us miserable on the way to our early deaths. But diet, you can help. Exercise, build back some muscle. I got myself a weighted vest. It doesn't help unless I take it out of the box, but I'm getting ready to start that one. And just walk around, get yourself, you can get a cheap tracker for $35 to tell you how many steps you got. And just do your 8 to 12,000 steps per day and just try to get some more steps in. That's much more helpful than running. And wear a weighted vest. They say if you wear a weighted vest 3 times a week for 30 minutes, you're building back 3% of muscle per year. That's huge. That's huge. That's a lot more than what we're losing it at. So you're going to gain back with that. But I would also, if you ever thought about joining a gym, join the gym. Have somebody walk you through what you need to do for your age, for your needs. Just do it. It's much easier to say than to do, I admit, especially if you have a busy schedule. I work 8 to 5 at the other end of the county, which is about a 50-minute drive both ways, like in the morning and then again that much at night. But I'm going to pick out a gym that's somewhere near me, but also is up there. And maybe I can run out during lunch, do a little something. And you can do all that in 20 minutes or less by lifting heavy and just getting what you need to get done. See your doctor. Beg for some bioidentical hormone replacement therapy and start wearing that estradiol patch. When you build muscle, you help your bones. You strengthen your bones when you strengthen your muscle, when you build muscle. It's this quiet thing that sneaks up, and then all of a sudden it just bites you in the backside. What happened? I used to be a gymnast. I used to have a 6-pack, and I mean, if I hold my arms up straight and lean back in the mirror, they're still there under there somewhere. But we have some really good muscle memory too, and we can build it back. And you can start at any age building that back. But the hormone replacement therapy, I will say, they say you get the best results if you start that within the 10 years after you enter menopause. You can still see great results from that.
So, how can people stay connected with you, Sally, and get a copy of Hot Mess Express?
Well, I expect it to be available on Amazon and other places where books are available. Mid-April, 22nd or so of 2025. And you can sign up on my website at sallyfriscea.com, Friscea. And sign up for my newsletter and you'll know exactly where to go and what to get.
I hope that all of you listening enjoyed our conversation as much as I did, and that you were informed and inspired to go get Hot Mess Express for yourself so that you can have the tips you need regardless of where you are in your hormonal journey as a woman. And of course, I also hope that you will come back for the next episode of Flourish-Meant.